let's continue our journey with this application that would teach any topic, this mentor, I don't know how to say. And we have already learned how to hook a customer, and we already know how to orchestrate agents. And now the next step is more like it's closer to domain. So at some point you have to understand if your prompts are good or not. And so today we will learn one of the methods, how to achieve better prompts. And so the problem is our agent, let's say our mentor, is it good or not? We don't know. And if you try it in prod, so you launch your application and say, okay, let's see if someone learns our topics like, with our application, right? And the problem is that you will lose a lot of time. So let's say our application only delivers one lesson a day. So you need you need at least a month to understand if your prompts, your application is good enough, if your mentor is good enough, are your customers happy or not? And also you will lose some customers if you really test it in prod. So what would you do? With these LLMs, now we can simulate people, simulate some dialogues, and that's what we're going to do in the next task. So our goal is to create two characters, and both of the characters would be played by an AI model. This AI model is written by you, and so we have two roles. One role is mentor that is running a course about, let's say, 10 lessons. So you give some 10 lessons. These lessons may be flexible. So today you learn piano, tomorrow you learn AI, the day after tomorrow you learn Microsoft Excel, doesn't matter. So you're given some 10 lessons. Your prompt should not depend on these lessons, of course. It should be stable. And then you simulate a student that is taking the course, and you run these two agents simultaneously to see if they have a nice dialogue or not. So you better really spend your time on student behavior, so the student is as realistic as possible. So you write system prompts for each, and then you press start, and then you see how the dialogue goes on, and you decide, okay, our mentor is not good enough, and then you fix the prompt, and then you run it again, and then you say, okay, now our student is not behaving like a real person, and then you change, the student, and then you run it again, and then you say, okay, now mentor is not good enough, and so on and so on. So it will take, I don't know, 10, 20 rounds uh, to get the desired result. So the closer you are to the reality, the better it is for your business. So you will not be fooled by your own simulation that your application is so good that you can now launch it in prod. And one question here is, like, we make things a little more complicated because otherwise it's not interesting. So the question is, how does teacher knows a learner truly learned? So how does teacher understand that really, like, so you are teaching AI, for example, and you say, okay, ChatGPT is this and this and this tool, and it can help you with presentations and blah, blah, blah. And then the student says, okay, I understood. And then you ask the student if he or she has really applied it. Did you install ChatGPT? Did you try it out? And then it says, yes, I tried it. everything is fine, let's go on. Is this true or not? We don't know. We don't want any artifacts. We don't want to ask for files because this will make all things much more complicated. So in the dialogue, somehow you need to understand, did the user really use the skill? Okay, or did the user really understand what you were saying before? So you say, okay, this first lesson is done. Now we switch to the next lesson, and so on, so on, so on. It's a very complex task, and there are several ways how to solve it. I intentionally will not tell you our ideas, but maybe you come up with something new. That's like let's see what we get. So you have to really take time on the personality. So you have to say, let's say you are a student. Okay, so you're working right on a student right now, and you have to say this student is an accountant, or this student is a lawyer, and I don't know, senior lawyer or junior lawyer. How old is the student? Does he or she have a family? And so on and so on. What are the interests? What are the goals? What are the goals at work, let's say? So what do they want to achieve? So if we teach AI, for example, we should ask, do you have to make any presentations? Do you have to answer emails? And so on and so on. So you really first have to learn the student. And if mentor wants to learn the student, of course, you have to prompt uh, the student, like the student personality. Okay, so you need to put all these things into the student, so mentor can try learn the student first and then adapt all the lessons to the student and adapt the approach. And let's say you learned that the student doesn't ever do any presentations, then maybe you skip a lesson with presentations, so we don't need it at all. So mentor should decide. Mentor should say, okay, when we can skip this one, let's go on with the next, and so on and so on. So it's a multi-agent loop. We already know, like from the last lesson, that we have several approaches how to run agents simultaneously. So this is the first time you will really try to do it. Though several students submitted real work with GitHub and with real agents that work orchestrated and all this stuff, but it's only like 3 or 4 students. The rest were like some documents about what this orchestration is, and like 99% of you used the supervisor approach. In this case, supervisor is fine, but maybe in this case, maybe you even use something deterministic. Maybe you try to use a more complex approach, like with message store or something like this, like event sourcing. Evidence here. That's what I was talking about already before. We need to separate real understanding from confident bluffing. So the user may say, yes, I understood, but you have to somehow check it. You have to ask like maybe 1 or 2 questions. Like for example, the user has to install ChatGPT or Excel, and then you ask how much time did it take to install, or where did you download it, in App Store, or where did you get it, and some questions to understand, is this true that the user installed it or not? Again, this is up to you. Maybe you ask these questions later. Let's say in 1 or 2 lessons, you decide to check the previous knowledge. So it's a good practice to come back to some previous lessons, right? So maybe you use this technique too. Just a second. So, so 5 steps. You have to pick a subject, piano, cooking, negotiation, chess, whatever, prompt writing, AI, and then you design a course of 10 lessons. Again, this is up to you. Are these lessons uh, only topics, uh, or do they have a lot of materials inside? Are these simply links to a YouTube videos, whatever? So this is up to you. What these lessons look like, and let's say it teaches a concrete skill, blah blah blah. But again, this is up to you because maybe let's say for piano, you that will be only exercises. And then you write a mentor. It teaches check understanding here. This is what we are talking about, and confirms the student can apply the skill before moving on. So you don't like again. This is up to you, but ideally you shouldn't move on to the next lesson unless you understand that the previous lesson was really understood by the student. Then you write a student. Curious, sometimes confused, sometimes distracted. You should understand that in real life, a student is uh, working somewhere, and let's say this student may be again a lawyer, and this lawyer doesn't have any time to learn, and you have to somehow also simulate this. So the lawyer may say, "Okay, I don't have time for this. Sorry, sorry, this is not interesting." Blah blah blah. This is also some realistic student that you would face if you write an application like this. And then you run the full course. So you say you write an orchestrator that runs one by one. So it runs mentor, then it runs student, and then mentor and student. And so you build a dialogue, and at some point you say the mentor says, "Okay, finished." So we finish this course, and then you stop, or you may stop after you reach a context, maybe limitation. This is up to you again. So, but we need to see how you uh, not only orchestrate the agents, but also orchestrate the lessons because it's not like simply straightforward from top to bottom. So mentor versus student. Mentor runs 10 lesson course, teaches one skill at a time. Yeah, you should probably not try to teach 2 or 3 lessons simultaneously. Would be nice to see if you say you have 2 courses and you teach 2 courses simultaneously. This is fine. This would be really great. But within one course, you should not try to teach 2 skills at a time. Checks understanding with a few questions, confirms the skill was applied. Yeah. So again, you may also say lesson one, introduction. This must not be applied. You don't have to apply it. And then the second lesson is something applicable. Then, of course, you have to check did the user apply the skill or not, or at least is able to apply this skill. And yeah, so circles back. That's what I said. And remembers weak spots. So this remembers is a crucial point here because we assume that both mentor and student have memory. For this, you have to introduce a tool for mentor and the student so they can remember some things. So mentor will take notes on the student, as the student may take notes on what he or she actually learned. So the student, a believable person. So you may try to find not find, pick a friend or someone you know, and describe the personality of your friend. So the more detailed this is, the better. Uh, so it's not like it's not a robot. Yeah, so it acts like a user, like a human. This personality should have a goal. And we should ask for this goal. What are the goals of the student? Yeah, so the mentor should first ask, what is your goal? Why do you want to learn piano? And then, depending on this goal, you teach differently. This is one of the complex things. One of the tasks. Sometimes confused, sometimes distracted, sometimes fakes having applied the skill. This is also real. And you may say, okay, probably I want to skip this lesson, so I say I have applied it, I say I understood it. Uh, would be best if mentor would not just trust the student, but at least take a note that most probably the student did not understand this lesson. Maybe come back to this lesson later. Tries to move ahead without doing the work. That's what I said. Let's move on. Prove they applied it with words only. So we don't want any files again. So no files, no screenshots, no uploads. We should only conduct a conversation, and based on this conversation, we need to understand if the user understood the lesson or not. The lesson again may be simply links. You may say, okay, go and learn what's the difference between SQL and MySQL. This is also a lesson because the student have to go and maybe talk to ChatGPT or Google and then learn this stuff and then come back and say, okay, now I learned it. Let's move on. And then you say, sorry, can you please tell me what is the difference between SQL and NoSQL? And then the student should try to reply. And maybe if the student replies with a long message, which is very clear and perfect, then most probably the student uses ChatGPT to fake, to cheat, and you may try to detect this. You may try to say, "Sorry, I don't believe you." Maybe copy pasted the answer. Um, yeah, and this makes it harder because if we ask for a screenshot of installed ChatGPT or installed Excel, or maybe you say, now let's learn formulas in Excel. You have to compose a formula and then take a screenshot and send the screenshot to me. This is easier because if we take any LLM uh, that is capable of computer vision, then of course it would say, yes, the formula is there, so we may continue. Yeah, then you have to find the truth by asking better questions. So this is what you have to. Yeah. So all this stuff is in a PDF file that will be sent to you by Andrei, and you will see the exact statement of this task. Yeah. Um, yeah, three moves. So ask for specifics. So you have to um, as I said, you have to answer some questions to really find out whether the student used ChatGPT, whether the student installed ChatGPT, for example, right? So you have to ask such questions so that they would be as specific as possible to really understand, uh, to really make sure that the student understood the task, not the topic. Ask what went wrong. Real practice has friction and surprises. Uh, yeah, in general, it's going to be hard for you to with this personality from the student side. It's going to be hard for you to really act as not a faker because this will be still an LLM talking, and if you say I want, if you apply any AI detection system, it will always be detected, right? So the student will always be caught on ChatGPT because this is all generated with LLM. Test transfer give a brand new situation needing the same skill. Repeating definition is memory. Yeah. Um, yeah. So again, these are all more hints for you how to act, how to prompt, and that should simply help you. Okay, I'm repeating the same stuff all the time, but yeah. So you have to detect such kind of things. So what I expect from you after you finish? So I want to see the final mentor prompt. So I want to see how you what is the system prompt of the mentor. Then I want to see the student prompt, the full system prompt, including how it fakes things. Which tools are used? A memory tool is a must, probably. Maybe not. This is up to you again. But I don't see how you can do it without memory tool. And if you use some other tool, you are free to use them. And I just want to see which tools you used and which model you used. Uh, Again, as I said before, it's good if you don't use uh, some giant models like Opus, for example, with 1 million context, whatever. So the smaller model you use, the better, because smaller models they scale. Bigger models, it's a waste of money. So it's not really a business. So I want to see the dialogue. So after you see that the dialogue is more or less realistic and you're happy with it, just copy paste it to a PDF. You may also include 2 or 3 dialogues if they're different, let's say different persons, or maybe they went differently in one dialogue. So it's the same 2 prompts for the student and mentor, but they went absolutely different paths. And then you may also attach both of the dialogues, or maybe 3 or 4, doesn't matter. Uh, so rationality and self-eval. And this is actually the interesting part. So I want to see how you came up with this mental prompt, how you struggled, what were the problems, and where you still fail. Uh, okay, so I want to see some critics on your work, so we see what problems we have here. And so again, so it's repetition again, but the strong and weak. So the strong mentor catches the bluff and refuses to move on. Verification is specific and probably not a generic quiz, so we don't simply ask A, B, C, D, whatever. Mentor remembers and revisits weak spots. So if you understand that the user says, okay, I understood it, but you see that it's not the fact. So you may come back to some lessons and repeat some topics later. This would be also good. Student feels like a real person, and reflection is honest about what still breaks. Reflection is the last point from here, so this one. And the weak work would be if student understands instantly. So you say you give a big paragraph about how to I don't know multiply 2 matrices, and then student immediately says, "Yeah, okay, I understood it." Of course, this is strange, right? So you would say may not happen. So mentor accepts, "Yes, I did it," and moves on. Also, not good for some tasks. It may be good, but for some not, right? For some, you have to recheck if this is something technical, like go and Google Google for a definition, then you say, yes, I did it. Most probably this is true. If this is something complex, you should probably ask 1 or 2 questions to make sure this is true. Checks, recall only, never application. Transcript is cherry picked, and rational is empty. Okay, so for tips, yeah, so we start tiny. Of course, you start with the various, like you go. Of course, you will be vibe coding, right? And you say, okay, let's write these two agents. They talk to each other, and we simply give one lesson at a time, and lesson by lesson, we should come to an end. And the first dialogue will be funny, probably, and you will not be happy with it, hopefully, and then you start working on it. So you improve it step by step. The first tune will be too agreeable, making realistically hard. Making realistically hard is most of the learning, not what you've tried. Write the verification questions before the lesson content. Okay, so yeah, so you start with something small, and then you improve it step by step. At some point, you are happy with your results, and then you compose a PDF file and send it to me. That's it.